We're back, people. What is up? Got another stream today going over, Miami Dolphins 2026 NFL draft stuff, the combine as it's still going on, actually, one more day today of stuff, but just learning all the information that we have. Certain things that I want to discuss because I feel like it just the combine is something that does kind of get overrated each year. People put a lot of stock into it. Like I've seen so much crazy takes over the last couple of days about the combine where it's more like it's a helpful tool. It's something where you get to confirm your takes. You confirm the athleticism that you saw in film, and then sometimes you have to go back and rewatch. But yeah, overall, I think most of it was pretty expected. Maybe a couple guys would be like, okay, that's not exactly what I thought. It's nice to get measurements. I actually think teams like the combine mostly just to meet with a lot of players. That's where I think they get a lot of value out of to try to figure out like who these types of people are. Um, but yeah, we'll go over that. Yeah, the combine is not that like crazy important. It's helpful, but it's not crazy important for like I think the teams like the testing wise. Like I think they already have an idea of what type of like athlete these players are. Um, I think usually when it comes to like player evaluation, like if you have guys that are like pretty even, like the guy that maybe tests better, you might bump up like in rankings. But like I believe Mario, you asked me about like changes in terms of my board. Like your board should not change drastically from the combine. It might change a tiny bit. Maybe some guys going up like one or two ranks over another guy, but that's about it. So like nothing major for me really happened. Might make some subtle, small movements in certain areas, just with like maybe the edge group, receivers, guys that maybe tested well. Um, but yeah, that's sort of the take there. I did not expect Jordan Tyson to be the same height as Tate. Yeah, that was maybe I think Tate like Carnell Tate's a good example of like a guy that like people are gonna be lower on after the combine because he came in a little bit smaller and didn't run super fast. But like if you watch his film, like it should not change your opinion on him as a player at all. Like if you liked him before the combine, you should still like him after the combine. If Carnell Tate is available, should the Dolphins pick him? I probably will like other guys. I do like Cardinal Tate. Like, I actually wouldn't be mad if he was the pick. There will probably be other people I prefer though, just based on this class. But I do believe Tate is like a top 15-ish player in this class. Um, but yeah, I'm not like he's someone who, if receivers are going to go before the Dolphins pick, like two of them, like he should be one of them that goes. In my opinion, I was glad to see how Ted Hurst, a lot of bigger body receivers. Ted Hurst, Chris Brazzell, they tested well, which I do think the Dolphins are looking for a bigger body guy that is athletic. But I think if you watch the tape, Brazzell and Ted Hurst seem like the bigger body athletic types. So like I don't think them testing well is also not very surprising. Like if you want to bump them up a little bit in your receiver rankings, like that's fine. But I don't think they should change drastically. Like I think those athletes show up on film. Um, Another guy that I hadn't watched yet was Bryce Lance, the North Dakota State receiver. I know he's Trey Lance's brother. He's 23, so a little bit older of a prospect, but at 23 is fine. Uh, and he had really good measurables. And I watched his film, and he's definitely a guy I could see Miami liking. Like he has the physical and athletic tools I think they look for. And then uh, a lot of Christian Watson comps. They both played at North Dakota State, and Watson plays for the Green Bay Packers. So Sully was there when he was drafted, and he does have a very similar like size, athletic traits, and play style to Christian Watson. So he's a name to know. Probably in like the middle of the draft, if I had to guess, like with probably around 3, around 4 pick. Based on his film, I could see Lance going in that range. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Kendrick Falk is a beast from Auburn. I want him low key. I'm not a fan of Kendrick Falk. He would be one of my least favorite picks. But yeah, I would not be surprised to see Bryce Lance be a Dolphin, just because he has a lot of Christian Watson to his game. Did Ryder already cover Taylor Green? No, but let's talk about Taylor Green. I don't think how Taylor Green tested yesterday should change anyone's opinion on it. Because if you watch the film, he's an elite athlete on film. That's what he's best known for. Looking like an elite athlete, and he tested like an elite athlete. So to me, the testing doesn't change anything in your evaluation. I don't think like if you thought he was a bad quarterback on film, you should still think he's a bad quarterback now. If you thought, there's potential there, you should still think he has potential. I think he's a guy who has potential, but is not very good at this point in time. I think he's one of the better dart throws. But to me, when it comes to quarterback dart throws, I'm not using a day 2 pick on that. I'm not wasting a round 3 pick on one of the dart throw quarterbacks just because, like, percentage-wise, I don't think that makes sense. I feel like in round 3, I can still find players that can make a contribution in year 1, and I don't think he's a contributor in year 1. I think those are more likely for, day 3 picks that you should be taking those dart throws at quarterback. Unless you fall in love with the guy. Personally, I don't have that opinion about pretty much any quarterback in this class. Like, Mendoza's going to go 1. Outside of Mendoza, the only other quarterback that I think is even worth a potential day 2 pick is Ty Simpson. And Ty Simpson will probably go round 1 just because there's no one else to take at quarterback, and I wouldn't take Ty Simpson in round 1. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with Taylor Green. I would not touch him that early, personally. I don't like. Yes, he has skills you can't teach, but when your biggest weaknesses are accuracy, decision making, like just overall, like mind, like mental part of the game from a quarterback perspective, that's the most important thing. And I know like you can potentially teach some of that stuff, but not really. You rarely see growth from it. Like there's very rare examples. Like Josh Allen's one of the only examples of really growing from an accuracy perspective at the NFL level. There's not many like that. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Taylor Green in round 3 at all. I'm not a fan of pretty much any quarterback in round 3. Like I think that would be a pretty big reach, pretty much across the board, of quarterbacks that could be there. But Kyle Lemon's the best receiver. I agree. I don't think the Dolphins will take him, but I do think Kyle Lemon's the best receiver. I also hope the Dolphins pick best player available. There's some interesting weigh-ins, dude. Spencer Fano coming in with that arm length and that size. Dude, I would not. I saw someone mention this on Twitter saying that Spencer Fano might be center 1. I was thinking about, like, dude, with Spencer Fano's playstyle, he actually might be a center at the next level. Because, like, I'm not a huge fan of him at 11. Like, I've talked about it. I think in the latest mock I took him just because I've been trying to take different players. But, like, he's not my ideal pick. He's someone I'm hoping is gone. But with those measurements, I think teams could be turned away from him. How far do you think Drew Aller will fall? In my opinion, he should be a day 3 pick. I think if he goes before that, that's a little bit crazy, but I don't know. I'm not mad if you took him on day 3. I just think he's another one who falls into the Taylor Green conversation, except he's not a great athlete. He's just big and has a good arm. He's big and has a good arm, but he has some big struggles as well as with consistency, accuracy. Was never clutch either. I think clutch is a very big part of the game of being like mental toughness, competitive toughness. And then also lack of pocket awareness. I think pocket awareness is a huge thing for translating to the next level. When college quarterbacks lack pocket awareness, it only gets tougher at the NFL level. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I like the QBs. QB testing, I don't put a lot of value into it. Like typically I know if a quarterback is an elite athlete just from watching their film. So like them testing like an elite athlete at the combine doesn't really change anything. Like I don't really care how high Taylor Green can jump as a QB. I already knew he was an athlete, so. But yeah, don't put too much stock into the combine in terms of like raising and falling with players. Like it doesn't change that much, I think, in terms of the NFL eyes. Where the film showing the downside degree, the YouTube highlight film show good performance? Well, highlights show good performance for everyone. That's why you can't use highlights to truly evaluate players because highlights are highlights. They're only going to show the good. If you watch the film, Taylor Green struggles in a lot of key areas for quarterbacks. Accuracy. He's not a consistent thrower of the football, especially over the middle of the field. I think middle of the field is really, you have to be a middle of the field thrower. Guys that can't throw the middle of the field, see the middle of the field, read it super well, they struggle at the NFL level. They really do. And Taylor Green struggles to complete passes over the middle of the field. He's not like a timing, anticipatory thrower. And he also just struggles with consistent decision making. But yeah, that's sort of. And I feel like a lot of people were testing well yesterday, like insanely well. I feel like everyone was pretty consistent. Like I feel like there wasn't many bad performers. Like the bad performers were still putting them like average RAS, which is kind of crazy. The tight ends went crazy. Like a lot of tight ends. Like Sam Roush, who's one of my guys, he tested crazy, like even better than I would have thought. Sadiq's another one that like I don't think you should change your evaluation of him based off yesterday because like if you watch the film, Sadiq's an elite athlete. He tested like an elite athlete. That makes sense. I still have Sadiq in the same range. Like I think he's someone that should go mid to late first round in this class. I would not take him at 11, but if the Dolphins traded back, I think Sadiq would be an intriguing option. I like Sadiq, but I do think he is more of like an F/move tight end than a true inline guy. Like I think he has like those really high level blocking reps, but he struggles with some consistency there. So that's another concern with him. And I wish he was just like for how great of an athlete he is and how like athletic and strong. Like I wish he was a better yak guy. I feel like that's another disappointing aspect to his game. Eli Stowers tested crazy, but he's another guy that like it really depends on where he goes because he can't block at all. Like he's basically just a big slot receiver, and it's hard to find consistent playing time for guys like that are tight ends that just can't. That's why like guys like Oscar Delp, Sam Roush, even Max Clare, like I could see them just being better tight ends because they'll be on the field more, just playing as like inline guys. It's why you see like Jackson Hawes last year, the guys the Bills drafted late. You saw he got a lot of playing time in year one because he's a good blocker. It's not like he was getting a bunch of receiving work, but it's why you see like Dalton Kincaid on the Bills rotate off the field a lot, even though he's a really good receiver. It's just you can't have a guy that makes you just super predictable. Eli Raridan's another one that I like that has like a little bit of a balance skill set. Michael Washington was excellent. Yeah, Michael Washington tested really well. He also has some good film. I like Washington as a running back in this class. I haven't watched a ton of running backs just because it's not a huge need for Miami, and I don't love some of the players I have watched, but he is one of the better running backs in this class. Your guy, Trey Stooks, tested well. Yeah, Stooks did test well. I don't know. I feel like so many people, like Dylan Thieneman, tested crazy. Thieneman's another one. Thieneman's a player that, like, if the Dolphins took him at 11, I wouldn't be mad. Thieneman would be a great trade back candidate, though. He's not going to be there in the second round pick. I already think even before the testing, he was a guy that was going to go first round. The testing probably just raises his value a little bit. He was already a guy that like I think should go in that 15 to 20 range. So, I mean, big fan of him. Lorenzo Styles. Yeah, unfortunately, like Sonny Styles, great football player. Top 3 player in this class. Lorenzo Styles, great athlete. Not a very good football player, at least based on his film. I also saw there was multiple reports, people talking about the Dolphins are expected to work on extensions for Achane, Brewer, and Brooks. That makes a ton of sense. The Dolphins don't really have money this year, but they can create, by extending them, they can create cap space this year. And the Dolphins are going to have so much cap space in the next 2-3 years. They actually need to pay players. Like, they're in a position where like they're going to have too much money in the upcoming years and not enough players to play. That's why, like, I think it's very easy for them to extend and keep guys like Brewer, Brooks, Achane. Especially when you look at, like because usually at this point, teams would be looking to pay their 2022 and 2023 guys. The Dolphins didn't have any early picks in those drafts. So, like, they have a lot of room to work with. It's also another reason why, like, I think I saw a report saying the Dolphins are still in on Malik Willis. I can't remember who said it, but it's a reason I think they can be in on Malik Willis because I think they can push a lot of his money back to next year and the year after that and be completely fine. But where is that report? I swear I saw it. But yeah, a lot of the bigger receivers tested well. I think Malachi Fields was one of the only guys that didn't like test crazily, but for his size, I thought he tested fine. And that's sort of what I saw of Malachi Fields on the field. Ted Hurst tested well, like he ran 4.42. He didn't do agility drills, which is disappointing. Most players don't do agility drills at the combine anymore, which sucks. Blake Miller weighed in this morning, and he came in with 34 and 1/4 arm length. He was 6'6" and 6'8", 317. Really good size. I like Blake Miller in this class. Like, there was some crazy, like Dejon Stribling running a 4.39 just doesn't feel real. Like, I like Stribling's film. Where's that 4.39 on tape? You know. Omar Cooper running a 4.47 is good for him. Like that's perfect. But yeah, there was a lot of crazy testing. Bryce Lance was very consistent. He had one of the better verts and one of the he was second best vert for receivers, second best broad. Jeremy Bernard had the best 3-cone. Shout out Jeremy Bernard, I'm a fan. Oh yeah, Jeremy Fowler said the Dolphins are expected to definitely be in on Malik Willis, which they should be. They should definitely be in on it. I'm not saying they should overpay, but it's definitely something that they have to at least try. I think. Monroe Freeling tested, or no, he hasn't tested yet. O-line is testing today, but they weighed in. Freeling came in at 6'7" and 3/8, with also 34 and 3/4 arm length. He's another guy that's going to go first round. It's so funny. If you watch Bryce Lance film, he looks so much like Christian Watson did at North Dakota State, which is like just like yeah, feels like the Dolphins could take him. No pads, and you're just running a straight line. You don't do that in a game a lot. Yeah, that's why, like, honestly, most positions, the 10-yard split is actually more important than the 40-yard dash. Because you, I think, find a lot more value in guys running straight for 10 yards than 40 yards. It's much more realistic. And just seeing, like, those initial steps is more important. That's why, like, the agility drills, I think, show a lot, too. That's why a lot of guys skip it. I'm like, you see a lot more change of direction on just a play-to-play basis than true straight line sprinting. If we traded back into the 20s, would you be happy with Blake Miller? Into the 20s, I could get behind that. It probably depends on who else is on the board. But like, I think Blake Miller is a guy that could easily go in the 20s. His to the first third round pick, I take him. Yeah, I think Brazel's going to go in round 2, though. But yeah, I definitely get behind that. Would you take Tyson at 11? Probably not, just because of the injury history. I think Tyson is talented enough to be taken at 11 in this class. But I think there's just going to be other guys that I like that don't have that injury history. Like Tyson has a pretty big injury history. And I don't think he's like great enough for me to take him over the other guys that I think will be there. Would you trade down and get Venga Ioane? Yes, Venga Ioane would be one of the best trade back options, if not the best. He's also someone I could see them considering at 11. He probably wouldn't be my ideal pick, but I think he's one of the safer picks in this class. Like I think he's just going to be a quality guard in the league. Wouldn't be surprised if he's the best O-lineman from this class. Like that's a very real outcome. But yeah. Scrolling through. Yeah, like Sam Roush had a 9.99 RAS. He ran a 4.7, 1.61 yard split. His vert and broad were both like high end, and he did it at 6'6", 267. Like Sam Roush is a tight end. Like I like blocking tight ends, man. Like I think those are the guys that get on the field. If you can block, and it's not like he's obviously a good athlete. If you're a blocking tight end that's a good athlete, like I can at least like I don't think he has great hands, but he's at least someone that like I can get the ball into his hands and he can like he can at least be like an underneath blanket type of guy. You know, he's a guy I can check it down to and he'll catch those balls. I mean, he's at least athletic enough to pick up some yards after catch, things like that. Or did you say Bryce Lance? Yes, Bryce Lance was there at the comment. I didn't see his name. Illinois State guy. I did not see that. Dylan Thieneman, safety is a favorite. Yeah, I love Thieneman. Thieneman is one of my like if I'm gonna have like a everyone has like their my guys list or their draft crush list. Thieneman would be at the top of mine. Where's Green draft stock at now? In my opinion, Green's draft stock is the exact same. However you viewed him before the combine should be exactly how you view him after the combine. Because we already knew he was a great athlete. Like, Chris Johnson was another one that tested well. Not surprising if you watched his film, super fluid. He looked great in drills too, ran fast. Great player in my opinion. Where do you see Tynan Oscar Delph being drafted as sleeper? I think he should go in round 2, personally. maybe that's a little early, but like I think he's a day 2 guy. I think he was underutilized at Georgia as a receiver. He basically had to become a blocking tight end for them, and he's one of the better blockers of the class. Can play in line, he can play on the slide, and he's a great athlete. Has some of the best bursts in the class. And apparently last year he was playing through that whole year with like some injury. I can't remember what it was, but that's why he didn't test out the combine because he played all of last year through some injury, which also could have affected his production. Like Oscar Delp is one of the guys in this class at tight end that I think will be a better pro than he was a college player, production wise. Ryder, do you have an NFL comp for Dylan Thieneman? Well, I've seen a lot of people say Harrison Smith because the Vikings might take him, and Harrison Smith was another first round white safety. Thieneman, a comp for Thieneman. Probably have to look up like similar size ranges to him. But he's also one that I can see playing as like a nickel as well. I think he has that ability to twitch and match up. Based on what we've seen, what QB would you draft for Miami? Honestly, none of them. I mean, I don't know, man. Realistically, the best fit is like Ty Simpson, but he's gonna go earlier than I would want to take him. And then, really, the best QB to take is just whatever big athletic one falls the farthest in the draft with a strong arm. Just whatever. Yeah, hairline foot fracture for Dub, which is pretty serious, and he played through all of that. Yeah, Jeff Caldwell. I haven't watched Jeff Caldwell. I have him now on my watch list. The Cincinnati kid. He did test crazy. Jacoby Lane running well was not very surprising. He's tall, but he's not big. Like he's kind of got like wiry limbs. He being a great athlete was never a question for me. It's more of how can he hold up to the physical side of the game. Yeah, this safety class is real good. Like Caleb Downs, still my top option at 11, but if you miss it on Caleb Downs, I still think you can get some good value. Yeah, I'm just hoping this draft they just get best player, man. Like the Dolphins have so many needs, so many potential roster issues. Just build and get the best players you can across the board. Omar Cooper, please, at 43. I think Omar Cooper is going to go first round. Who's the best available at edge round 2? Zion Young. Zion Young's another one I could see going round 1, though. So, I mean, if he is there in round 2, he definitely has a high chance of being the best edge. I guess it just depends on who's there, but yeah. Guys like that. I'm a big fan of Gabe Akis. Malachi Lawrence. I'm a huge fan of Malachi Lawrence. If he's there in round 2, he will be up there. Yeah. See, but yeah, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, like, I don't even think he tested bad. It's just everyone was testing crazy. And he's also much bigger than most of the safeties that tested. Yeah, see, Emmanuel McNeil Warren still, his RAS was 9.13. And his 10-yard split was actually like his 40 was 4.52, which is actually good for a safety. That's 7.78 out of 10. And his 10-yard split was 1.55, which is 8.59 out of 10. His explosion grades were both good, both in the 6 range, like out of RAS. So like Emmanuel McNeil Warren like still tested quite well. It's just a lot of the other safeties putting up like crazy numbers. Top 3 needs cornerback, DN, receiver. I'd probably put right tackle near the top of that list. Probably before receiver. But yeah, I mean those are all near the top. Joshua Josephs. Yeah, let me look at my notes. I have where's my notes? Here we go. Yeah, pretty good. Like he has kind of like a long, wiry build. He's got like he has length and is explosive. Definitely has a good first step and a very long wingspan, which is a pretty good combination for an edge. So like I do think he's a developmental guy. Has some violent hands, but I think he needs to add like more weight to his lower half. Just kind of an inconsistent player. He's more of like that round 3, round 4 range that just like you take because he has pretty high upside, but needs to find just more consistency. But I do think he can be like a nice designated rusher early on. Who's your ideal pick at 11? Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, both. I mean, I don't think Styles would be there. Downs has a chance just because safety always gets undervalued, and I could just see. I see a world where Downs gets there, but Downs and Styles is like my ideal picks at 11. Gabe Akis, edge. I love Gabe Akis. Gabe Akis will be one of my guys at edge. So I'd be down to take him on day 2. Special teams contributors. Yeah, there's some good special teams guys. D'Angelo Pons is a good special teams guy. Chris Johnson, the San Diego State receiver, one of the best gunners in the class as well. Some linebackers out there I could be seeing, like Bryce Bedeker could be a real good special teams guy. Caleb Alarms Orr could see that. There's other DBs. There's plenty of special teams players out there. What are you most looking forward to with O-line? Let's see. I mean, I want to see how Maui Noah does. Ian Acker and Blake Miller will be big. Hold on, I gotta flip. I want to see how Rutledge tests. Same with Ioane, obviously. Chase Pasantis. And that'll be pretty intriguing. McCoy, yeah. McCoy is one of the best players in the class. He's just unfortunately coming off an ACL. Testing would have been important for him because we haven't seen him move in a year. And this comment, not any players who had a bad comment that really hurt their stock. I mean, something that was quite drastic. Not really. Like, people might say Carnell Tate, but like, I don't think he really hurt his stock. He's still going to go high. Lomu, yeah. Caleb Lomu, left tackle from Utah. Let me scroll down my Twitter likes. Yeah, Kenyon Sadiq had the fastest like tight end time. Eli Stowers had like crazy vertical and broad jumps, both tight end records. Yeah, Dylan Thieneman ran 4.37. Traden Stukes 4.34. Chris Johnson tested really well. Genesis Smith had the highest vertical for safeties. Second highest broad jump. 3 people tied for the top. Stukes was one of them. I think Avion Terrell looked really good in drills, his movement. I like Avion Terrell a lot as a player. I think Dalen Everett helped his stock. Looking at these. Not you, but people act like McCoy has a huge injury. This is his first injury in his career. Yeah, that's why like I'm maybe not as concerned with McCoy as like a Jordan Tyson, because Tyson has a much larger injury history, while McCoy just has this one injury. But I would like to see him move and just know he's ready to go. So just like the problem there. So is Ewers QB1 for week 1 most likely? I would say percentage probably points towards that, but I still don't know. I mean, you still don't know what we haven't hit free agency or the draft yet, so I wouldn't put too much stock in anything yet. Do you think there's a Harold Fanning Jr. in this class? I mean, there's some guys that are kind of F tight ends like Harold Fanning, but also like maybe like Justin Jolly. He's bigger than Fanning, but he is a receiving tight end at NC State. I don't know. Personally, I prefer like I think Fannin had a good rookie year, but I actually do think he is still a kind of limited player with the ways you can use him. Like realistically, like he just gets underneath dump off passes and he's good with the ball in his hands, but he's not a guy who really plays in line and blocks. It's just hard to find like I don't know. I think those guys kind of like limit offenses at times. Like Johnny Smith had a great year for Miami. He should never be your main leading guy. He's a guy that should be like a complimentary third or fourth guy. And then once he left Miami, was one of the worst like players in the league that saw significant playing time. Usually when I'm looking for tight ends, I like guys that are a little more well-rounded. Don't make your offense as predictable either when they're in the game, whether it's like run or pass. So like I'm more so looking for those guys. Like I like Eli Stowers, but he is kind of going to make your offense a bit predictable. Has a role type of thing. Brennan Thompson. Brennan Thompson, very fast. Yeah, Eli Hendenreich, another special teams guy that could he just plays everywhere. I might make a video on him too. He's just fun. Just a fun player. That I feel like if you get him in the right system, you can find a role for him. Gabe Akis or Malachi Lawrence? Oof. That's tough. Those are two of my guys. I'm trying to guess who Miami would like. Because Akis is a bit bigger, which I think they like, but Malachi is also just a freakier athlete. But Akis is the better run defender. Malachi's got more bag for as a pass rusher. It'll be close for me. Like I'm gonna have them ranked very closely. The verticals were insane. It's like they had springs, bro. Edge Akeem Mesidor. What about Mesidor? I would take Akis and Malachi Lawrence before Mesidor, just mainly because of age, and I just like those two a lot. Mesidor has good film, but the problem with that is like there's a couple problems with age, and that he would be a huge outlier. A lot of guys that find like late success in college, like at 25, it doesn't always project to future success in the NFL. Like honestly, if I was when I was 25, I probably could have been a pretty good college player. Going against 19, 20, 21-year-olds, but like I think that's something you have to consider. Like there's like the late breakout ages thing. But also, I don't think the Dolphins should be the team looking for many older prospects. Be very interesting to see. All I know is worse. I shouldn't even put this out in the world, but like if this happens on draft man, you're gonna see a crash out of the century. Is if Caleb Downs is on the board at 11, and they don't take Caleb Downs, and not only do they not take Caleb Downs, they took someone that I didn't like a Keldrick Falk at 11, or one of the I don't know who else they could take that's somewhat realistic. But man, I would probably get demonetized. Yeah, if that stream came out, I'd be so upset. And it's not even like I think Keldrick Falk is bad. I just don't think he's a good pick at 11. Like I actually do think Falk is actually one of the safer picks in this class. Like I know exactly what Falk is. He's going to have a long career. He's only 20, which I think is good. Like his age is honestly the biggest thing he has going for him. But a problem for prospects is when age and like your physical tools is your main selling point, that typically means you're not the greatest player. But he is a very good run defender. He's going to have a long career as a run defender, but he is solid setting edge and he has versatility. It's just the pass rush is almost non-existent, and his pass rush tools are almost non-existent. Like he does not have burst. He has some flexibility for his size. I will give him that, but without the burst, like no plan. And when you lack burst, I think he's a strong player, but it's really hard to collapse a pocket without a combination of burst and play strength. Like you need both. What if Love is on the board? Love would be like the one best player available guy I would pass on. Like BPA pretty much everywhere except Jeremiah Love. Like I don't think that would be worth it. Yeah, I mean, if the Finns take Falk over Downs, I mean, you're gonna see tears and anger. Austin Jackson was 20 when he was drafted, and look how that turned out. Yeah, you don't like that was just a like I love drafting younger players, but I love drafting younger players that like I think are good. Like last year, Jordan Phillips was like the youngest player in the class. I also thought he was good. I'm like, okay, he's good. He's young. He can get even better. Like, I don't mind drafting young players, but like Austin Jackson is like the perfect example of taking need over BPA. They did it multiple times. They did it with Jawan James when they took a tackle. There was multiple times where like the tackle was definitely not the best player available, but tackle was a huge need. So they took Jawan James in the first. They took Austin Jackson at 18 because all the best tackles were gone, and it just was not the pick to make. Like, there was no world where those guys were BPA. You wouldn't take Love at 11? I mean, I think Love is good. I think he's a top 3 player in the class, but I think running back's like the one position that Miami doesn't need at all. I mean, they need running back, but like, I also think running back is like the easiest position to find. I think you can find good running backs in the 4th, 5th round, guys that can contribute. And I think you're going to extend Achane, and Achane is so good. Sneaky move the Dolphins could make, trade Achane and pick up a 2nd or 3rd round, and then draft RB Love from Notre Dame. If he's available, cheaper, younger, and could eventually be better. I mean, that's a strategy, but I don't think it's a good one for Miami, personally. I think you don't take running back that early unless you're a team that's like ready to win now or win very soon. Running back is one of those positions like it's a young man's position. You should be trying to draft running backs every once in a while, but like it's ones where I think you can win without having to draft running back early. I just think it's one of the worst positions to take early, personally. And I think and I when it comes to extending Achane, like usually I would also be against extending running backs for the most part. Like there's exceptions like Achane because I think the Dolphins are in a position where they actually need to extend their players because they're gonna have so much money down the line. Achane is still young, doesn't have like a huge like amount of touches on under him yet because like in his first couple years, like he was kind of splitting touches. This last year was like his first guy getting like full on workhorse. And another thing about Achane's game is he could literally just play like he could play as a receiver for you if you really wanted to. At some point in his career, he could literally just play receiver, and that's very realistic. He's also very young, and the Dolphins can easily extend him. So like, I would definitely extend Achane. Not think about it too much. He's the only player in the 2022 and 2023 classes that you even need to extend. So that's why I think it's a very easy possibility and just not think about it too much. I know we don't need RB, but Price is going to slide just because of 40. I think he's 3rd best back in class. Yeah, I like Jadarian Price too. And 40 for running back, I honestly, running back 40 times, man, I don't think that matters that much. Like, I care more about your 10-yard split, your explosion numbers, your change of direction skills, and then those are just athletic traits. I also care more about your vision, your contact balance. I think Jadarian Price is actually pretty good too, but I don't know if he'll fall that far. Contract talks could get ugly, forcing us to trade him. I just don't think they need to get that ugly. I think it's like if you look at the Dolphins right now, they have no cap space this year. But if you extend them, you're pushing like you're actually probably going to create cap space this year extending them. And if you look at 2027, 2027 they have over 100 million cap space as of right now. Obviously, with some of the guys they signed, that would bring the number down. But also, you have to understand like that Tua is still under contract, Bradley Chubb's still under contract. Guys that you're going to eventually move off of next year, either too, like Minka or Austin Jackson. Like that's just going to even create more cap space next year. And really, the only guys on your team that you need to sign is Achane, Brooks, and Brewer potentially. Like those are the only real three that you really need to extend. And the Dolphins with their new regime are never going to be big spenders elsewhere in free agency. Like they might sign a guy or two, but like you're gonna have so much cap space. Like I just don't see why there would be too many issues with whatever HN ends up getting. Anthony Hill Jr. linebacker in the third. In the third, I can get behind that. Before that, no thanks. In like 2028, we have over 200 million cap space projected. Obviously, that number will change as well. Like that's 2 years away. People will be signed and stuff, but like that's still considering like that's still with Tua's numbers and Chubb's numbers and Minka's numbers. They're gonna have more money than they know what to do with over the next couple years after 2026. That's why this is the year where like you're probably gonna have to just sign. I mean that's the plan I think anyways though is signing mostly vet minimum or close to vet minimum guys, and then maybe 1 or 2 signings outside of that. That will be the plan no matter what anyways. That's why like re-sign your guys. And yeah, cap space also goes up around 20-ish million each year. Would you keep Minka? Minka's one of the veterans I would be down to keep, but also like I understand trading him too. Like if you get a 4th for round pick. But I don't know what they would actually get for him. My guess would be like a 5th rounder. And it's mainly for cap reasons because they're like 700,000 over this year. Sonny Styles or his brother, if they're available at 11. His brother, Lorenzo. I wouldn't even take him at 211. Okay, 211 I might, but Tua will be a post June 1st cut. The cap space is not real. Cap space is real. Do not listen to what Omar has to tell you. Now there are ways to work around things, but like the cap is real. That is not a true statement. Like I know, like Omar's thing is like saying the cap space is not real, but then he'll go on to say why it is actually real in his argument. I just don't think he realizes that he's arguing about why it's real. But yes, there are obviously ways to work around. You can push things back, but it eventually becomes real. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Dolphins will sign too many older free agents. I mean, they might be forced to just because they could be cheaper. Yeah, the cap is definitely real this year for Miami. It's just the reason they can still sign like a guy like Malik Willis if they wanted to, if they really wanted to, is because they can have a really low cap hit in year 1, big signing bonus, and then a big cap hit next year because they have the cap to do it next year. They just don't have that to do it this year. You that freak athlete, what? Tight end. Do. What do I think about Aller? I'm not a huge fan. I think he's one of the late. If he's there in the later rounds, like yeah, I'm down to take a dart throw on him. But I think he struggles in some main areas when it comes to quarterbacking, specifically mental side of the game, accuracy, and pocket awareness, which, in my opinion, are the big three when it comes to playing quarterback. Because if you can't do that, then you need to have some crazy physical tools to make up for it. And it's not like Aller is a great athlete. He has a strong arm, but that can only make up for so much. Jacoby Lane in the third, probably not for me. I think the Dolphins want to get bigger at receiver. Jacoby Lane is not the receiver. Like he's taller, but he's not. He's kind of thin and struggles with physicality. So I think if you're going to get bigger at receiver, at least get a guy that kind of is better versus physicality. Right? You should do a show with reasoning in. I'm sure I will at some point leading up to the draft. I can message him. People compare Aller to Allen. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Josh Allen was a 10 times better prospect coming out. Also a 10 times better athlete. And Allen had even problems coming out. Do you follow have heard of Zach McKinnell of senior editor and owner FCS Football Central on SI? I haven't heard of him, no. I mean, I would definitely play Malik Willis more than 5 mil, but I get why people don't want to. To me, I think the Dolphins need to take as many shots at potentially good quarterbacks as possible. I think it's very rare, and I usually agree going with the draft strategy because it's the best strategy. But I think it's rare to find a QB that I think could be the guy in free agency. And Malik Willis, it's a small sample size, but man, it's good, and it's in this very similar system to what Miami will be running. And the guys who were with him in Green Bay know him better than anybody. So I mean, I could easily get behind signing Malik Willis. Yeah, and I would rather roll with Quinn than pretty much most QBs in the in this draft class. Like pretty much everyone except Mendoza and maybe like Ty Simpson. Hey, shout out Jiffy for the super chat. I appreciate it, my guy. Ted Hurst or Malachi Fields? Let me heart that. That one's actually pretty easy for me. I am a big Ted Hurst guy. I like Malachi Fields, but I'm not as high on him. And I think when it comes to bigger body receivers, you have to be good at bigger body things. I think that's sort of the basis, which I think both are good at bigger body things. I think they can make contested catches. I think they both can play with pretty good physicality. Malachi probably has more physicality, but I think Hurst has a little more juice to his game. You have to have a little more separation ability, which I think Hurst has. A little more juice as well with the ball in his hands. So I would prefer Hurst by like about a round, like a round ahead of Malachi. The obvious question: which Packers free agents would you want to Fins to sign? The problem is, I think they're all going to be too expensive. Brand. Like I get a lot of comments about Quay Walker. One, Quay Walker is really not that good. Like he's fine, but he's going to get paid way too much. I'm interested to see what Kingsley is getting paid. Because if Kingsley and Igbari, the like Dolphins need some edge help, and if he's not getting crazy amount, like he could be a decent like depth guy to have like in the rotation. Obviously, you have to consider Malik Willis just because quarterback's the most important position. But like everyone else, maybe Elton Jenkins if he's cheap, he could be a starting guard. He's played every position, but like I don't know if he'll be. I don't think he'll be cheap though. Problem is, I just don't think any of them will be cheap. I think Fitzpatrick's a free agent for them. Their backup tight end, one of their backup tight ends, and he's a pretty decent blocker. That should be fairly cheap. So is Hurst gone during the second round? It's a possibility. I mean, I've always thought of Hurst as going in like the third round, but it would not surprise me, you know, when any of those guys go in that area. What do you think of Jimmy G? To me, it's just like he's a good system fit, but like it just feels like a waste because like Garoppolo. Like to me, it's a waste because he's not a franchise guy. It's just a waste of snaps taking it away from younger someone that also fits the scheme. So, like, I would at least go with someone young with upside playing time. That's why, like, I don't want Garoppolo. I don't want Kirk Cousins. And those are guys you're still gonna have to pay like a decent chunk. Well, Cousins might be super cheap because he's still getting paid. So Cousins might just take like a vet minimum deal because he's still getting paid from Atlanta. But like Jimmy G is still gonna get like 6, 7, 8 million, and like that just feels like a waste of money. Yeah, like I would rather trade for a Will Levis for a late round pick or something like that. Like the quarterback next year that plays, like all the quarterbacks that play next year, because it probably won't be just one guy. We'll probably see multiple guys playing if I had to guess. Uh, but the guys that hit the field should be younger guys with some sort of upside. Either you see them as like, okay, they could be someone for us. They could be a good quarterback. They could be maybe they're a potential backup in the future, or maybe we do think they could be the franchise or something like that. Probably unlikely, but you at least want to get some value out of these young guys. I don't need to see some journeyman 1 year stopgap quarterback playing for Miami next year. Kenyon Sadiq. I mean, I like Sadiq. I think his problem is I just don't know. Like the combine just doesn't change my opinion on Sadiq because I already knew Sadiq was gonna be like a very high end athlete. But yeah, the film stays the same. So yeah, I like Sadiq, but he's like a late first type of player. Um, yeah. Any other questions? I also think Quinn Ewers is a good example of certain QBs sometimes like because if you go back to his 20 like his last year in college, he started the year very strong, and I thought his film was good at the start of that year. But then his film fell off a cliff, kind of similar to like Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeyer. Their film really fell off a cliff because they were dealing with injuries, and I think Quinn was dealing with an injury in his final year of college, and his film took a huge hit. And then going into the pros, he looked his 3 games in the pros looked much better than his last year of college. Now he still has a long way to go to actually prove himself, but like there's at least some upside there. And I do think Quinn Ewers is a scheme fit for what Miami is doing. Um, so I mean, he's someone I expect to see. He'll at least see like he'll probably get some playing time next year, unless they sign like a Malik Willis. Then he would only get playing time if there's an injury, but he's gonna get some playing time at any point. Would you trade the 111 for Max Jones? No, because he's another like he would be one of the better options Miami could play, like at quarterback in terms of like scheme fit, uh, like to actually win some games. I think in like terms of like a realistic opportunity, but I don't think I would trade that for Mac Jones because I also don't think he's a long term answer. People said this year was supposed to be loaded before the season started. All the quarterbacks. Yeah, that's why like I'm not too sold on the 2027 class yet because a lot of the 2027 class was supposed to be like who's in the 2026 class last year, and a lot of them didn't step up. So the 2027 class could be good, but it's definitely not a set in stone thing. How's Keontae Scott in coverage? He's not bad, but it's not like the strength of his game. Let me look at my Keontae Scott notes. I put down has some questions in man coverage, which does make you maybe a little nervous to play him full time slot, but he is a dog. Would you think Jones is even better than Ewers? As of right now, probably at least with how Jones played last year. But like, it wouldn't surprise me if Ewers outplayed him. That's why, like, I'm not like sold on trying to. Bro, there was one Niners fan account that tweeted out like trades for Mac Jones, like what they would want, and they were smoking crack. Like, they like did it with a bunch of teams, and I like each one was crazy. It was like multiple picks and players. The Dolphins one was Jalen Waddle, Chop Robinson, and a fifth for Mac Jones. Not only are we giving up Waddle and Chop, we're also throwing in a fifth because why not for Mac Jones? Like, guess what? If Waddle was traded for Mac Jones, they would be the ones throwing in a pick, not us. Like, and we're not throwing in Chop either. Like, what? That's crazy. That was a wild. Like, I get he's a quarterback, but like, no. Should the Finns go heavy offense or defense in this draft? I mean, I don't really necessarily have a preference, but just based on this draft, I would say defense. If I had to guess, just based on how the board falls, my guess would be defense. Yeah, I know. That was just like crazy. Like the other trades were crazy too. Like they had like Mac Jones for Garrett Wilson, and they had Mac Jones for like Jordan Addison and like a second and a third from the Vikings. Like, dude, you guys are out of your mind. Like, how much do you think Mac Jones is worth? Like, I get he looked pretty solid last year in his limited playing time, but how close are you to 13K? I could check. Let's see. I think I'm pretty close. Yeah, I'm 15 off. I have 12,985. So 15 more subscribers. We hit 13K, which is kind of crazy. I'll probably hit 13K within like 15 subscribers, probably in like a week. Oh, you'll just throw in what else? Yeah. Dude, other fan bases love to do that when they hear the Dolphins are trying to trade with someone. Be like, yeah, and just throw in Waddle like a nice little sweetener to the deal. Like, just throw in Waddle. Like, what? Who do these people think Waddle is? But yeah, okay. Is Terrell a lot better than CC in terms of making plays in the run game? Is CC valuable at making those types of plays beyond just coverage? I need to watch more Cisse. PFF has actually Brandon Cisse with a really high run grade, like run defense grade. I think he's willing, but like his tackling technique is pretty bad from what I've seen. So I need to see more. But I don't know. I just have Terrell a little bit ahead of Cisse right now, but I do like both. Both are at least willing to kind of throw their bodies around. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Mock draft tomorrow, and we'll be to free agency. I mean, I don't expect the Dolphins to be super active in free agency, but like they're still going to have to sign guys. It will just probably be a lot of, probably not a lot of moves early, and then signing a lot of vet minimum guys. And I will make film breakdowns on the guys that I think will make some sort of impact for Miami, or guys that I at least think have a chance to make the team. Like if there's film out there to break down, I'll break it down. because I'm sure they'll sign some guys. Like they've signed, some guys to future contracts that like there's no film out there for me to watch. At least they haven't played in a while. But and I'll also go live during free agency. We'll talk about stuff. We can still talk about what other teams are doing. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.